is from my team, and Rashi might also be there from my team.
Yes, I can see his name on the list.
Yeah, Rahul
Okay.
and Rashi, if you can. Yeah, yeah. So Rahul is already here. I don't know if Rashi is here yet.
Yeah. Okay, I think we have participants already joining the class. Welcome everyone. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
We have quite a diverse participants here. We have participants coming from India. I think it's from Delhi. I think they're 1.5 hours behind our time. So I guess it's about 8:30 in Delhi. And I spotted there's participants coming all the way from New York, United States, which I think probably around 10 or 11 o'clock in the evening right now. So thank you for those joining us from a different time zone. I know it's challenging, but we appreciate your participation. Okay, right. So I think we have all the infrastructure set up. We have Mr. Subham Basu already joined the session, so I think it's better to start now while I'm going to allow other participants to join as well. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Right. So a very good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera buat kita semua. Dan selamat datang to the Masterclass series. So welcome to our second Masterclass series. And today we have the honor to have Mr. Subham Basu all the way from New Delhi, India, to host and to run and to facilitate today's session. Right. So again, welcome to all of you. I hope everyone can see the presentation, the welcoming presentation slide that I put into. All right, so I'm just going to quickly show you about this slide before I hand over to Okay, just a quick reminder before we start this session. Just a tips and tricks on doing some video conferencing. Make sure that you have your space adequate. It means there's not a lot of disturbance of the voice. Check your appearance if you plan to use the video camera to show your face. Starting the call, check your audio, your microphone and instruments if they work well. Know when to turn off and turn on your audio and video. So if you would like to share something, if you want to show something, you can switch on your video. If not, then I recommend for you to enable the camera. It's just simply the way to make the transition smoother and less data bandwidth consumed for everyone. Okay, if you would like to share something, just give me a signal. There's a gray button called more there where you can actually give response, clap your hands or put a thumb, or just simply send me a private message saying, Adi, there's something that I would like to ask a question, or you just pop the questions immediately on the chat room so I can look at every question that's coming in, because with the timeline that we have, I don't think we will be able to answer a lot of the questions, but we will follow up those questions with our speakers as well. Right, so stay focused. I know you are multitasking people, so there are something that you do parallelly, but we would appreciate if you maintain your focus to our speakers, whoever's in the session. Okay, if you want to share your screen, just let me know. And also important to stay safe during this situation and circumstances. So I think we're applying the physical and social distancing at the moment during this online classes. And the ergonomics, I think the way you're positioning yourself on the seat, the ergonomics part also very important just to keep your body healthy. All right. Good. The next step is just a quick introduction about who we are, the organization that putting this masterclass in.
Apa saya?
So So the company that runs this class called the Breakthrough Indonesia. So we are a training and consulting company based in Jakarta, and what make us different is basically Breakthrough Indonesia use the experiential activity-based learning. And I think that's going to be reflected also on today's session, where we're going to try simulate the session with online simulation game called the Lead Pro. Yeah, there are 4 elements that we try to put in the front, that the interaction. So please feel free to wants to interact and share your opinion, your thinking, and also your insights. The focus is on you, because you are the most important element of this session and this facilitation session. We try to structure our approach to be as structured and as methodological as possible, and the creativity as well. Okay. In the journey, we not working alone, because we also collaborating with our global partners. And site it's not running. Okay, so these are our partners. We partnering with our global consulting company, which based in India, in UK, in the US, and also even in South Africa. And as you can see, Biziga is one of our partners that based in New Delhi, India, and they are heavily focused on converting learning into an experiential learning through online gamification. So Mr. Subham Basu is one of the founders of Biziga, and we've been working together in supporting organization in experiencing the situational leadership concept in a very exciting and interactive way through an online simulation game. We're also working with the other consulting company that I shared before, and I'm pretty much sure that in our next following master classes, we will have those partners joining us and share their expertise and their insight as well. Right, and some of our clients' portfolios. I'm not gonna share more of that. And just quickly, a profile of the facilitator. So as you can see from the video, my name is Adi Pratomo. I'm the managing director of Breakthrough Indonesia, and also working as a senior consultant at CCI Inc. in Singapore. I'm a senior consultant at NIIT in India, and also at Caliper Corporation in the US. I'm going to host today's session, and I'm also would be more than happy to help you if you feels like you're having difficulties in conveying your message. Okay, I'm available on LinkedIn, so please add myself and let's networking on LinkedIn. All right, but the most important element and facilitator in today's session is Mr. Subham Basu. So he is an Indian citizenship based in New Delhi, India. He's the co-founders of Biziga Inc. Based in India as well, and also he's very active as a podcaster at Hindustan Times, running a podcasting program called Against All Odds. So if you're interested to join the podcast, feel free to add Mr. Subham Basu at his LinkedIn, and I'm sure he will be more than happy to share on how to be part of his podcasting. He's also previously as the director of All India Management Association, a very well-respected association for business and management professionals in India. He is available and reachable at LinkedIn at Subham Basu. So just search his name, and he will be more than happy to add the network with you and networking with you. Okay. Right, and just to be a quick reminder, the event that we're holding during this work from home and during this pandemic is we're running a lot of a free masterclass session. So this month only, this is our second masterclass series, which next week we're going to have facilitators coming from Australia, sharing his experience and expertise in value chain management. So Jason Yeo is a very good friend of mine. He worked as a continuous improvement head unit at AkzoNobel Global in Asia Pacific. And on the 23rd of April, we have KB Bashar that's going to talk about the best practice in process management. And I think I'm pretty much sure I locked the availability of Mr. Daniel James Beatty from Australia talking about the lean practices. Okay, so don't forget to tune in and register yourself for this online masterclass session. Okay. And the next event that also we're having for this month is the HR Online Competition Tournament, where you have the opportunity to win a total prize of 5 million rupiahs, simply just playing an online games and compete with other professionals in Indonesia, and and experience the English Premier League kind of tournament. So we're going to run it every 2 weeks. We have our first kickoff game a week ago, and we're going to have another one next week. So don't forget to register. I think everyone still have the same opportunity to win the total prize. Okay, right. So I think that's all that I can share with you. So without any further ado, let me introduce to you all with Mr. Subham Basu. And I'm going to hand over the session to him and explain to you and also share a view, as well as introducing himself. So I hope I make a adequate introduction, Subham. But in case something that I miss, feel free to add during your introduction and your additional information that you'd like to share. Okay.
Thank you so much, Addy. People can refer to me as Bose. It's a much simpler 4-character referral. So thank you everybody for having me, and everybody welcome to this masterclass. Addy, can I share my screen?
Oh yes, sorry. Let me just stop this. Yeah, and then you can share it.
Okay, sounds good. So we will straight away get on to already. So we will straight away get on with the masterclass. Now, the thing that we tried to project, or Addy tried to project initially, was this is a masterclass that is based on a simulation, around the simulation. So we will go in a flow, and let's look at what the flow will be. So who am I? My name is Bose. I am a part of a company, Biziga, which is into simulations. And I have been in the field of L&D for the last 12 years. Before that, I was into investment banking. And so I love games. I love all kinds of simulations. And I believe in the experiential part of learning a lot, where people learn by themselves. What is Lead Pro? So Lead Pro is a suite of leadership simulations. That's our brand of simulations. We have different simulations under the banner Team Leader, Influence, Change, and Strategic Acumen. Team Leader is the one which we shall be experiencing together over the masterclass today. We have been profiled by Harvard Business Review, and that's quite a feather on our cap. We have been winning a lot of awards globally for our simulations. We have a footprint of usage across 20 countries, and more than 50,000 people and executives have experienced it. Let me quickly see. There are chats. I hope I am audible to everybody. Am I audible to everybody? If can somebody say yes on the chat screen? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So going back to this page, Big Breakthrough is our partner in Indonesia, and they have an expertise in running different kinds of quick expectation setting as to what we are going to do out of the day. We will be looking at why simulation in virtual training, what makes simulation an ideal complementary tool over the medium of the virtual world. We will be running something called Lead Pro Situational today. So that's what we will get on to after that. So then we will be playing the simulation. Everybody will be doing that. Everybody got an email for a method to register over our portal. So I saw some of you did it. We will do that for people who couldn't. Then there will be a quick debrief on the report and application of the simulation itself. Now here, unlike workshops, which unlike a physical workshop or an online workshop, which might end when the workshop closes, here we also use a tool that participants can go back. We initiate participants on a tool that they can go back and use as real-time execution. So we will introduce you to the tool and some of the virtual training best practices. That's what we will take on at the end of the thing. And we will be doing Q&As. And even in between, we will be having Q&A sessions through the entire period of time that we are interacting. So essentially, we will be talking a lot amongst each others and you as an audience. Our objective is to help people understand why simulations, the impact of simulations, and also to help you overcome any barriers, any doubts, any queries that you might have. So just giving you a perspective from the industrial usage of various mediums of training or various resources for training, and especially during these times where we are working from home, I created a model here. And what we see here is that there is a pyramid, and on the peak, I see coaching. Now, that's a bunch of individuals in an organization, a small bunch of individuals who require coaching. So this is one of the mediums. Then we have something which is high priority learning classroom workshops. They are designed around competency frameworks. The organization has identified these as primary needs for that financial year or for that period. And therefore, they have decided to run these workshops. And so far, we have been hugely dependent on them. And the last part is reinforcement using LMS, self-paced, MOOCs, etc. So this could be a reinforcement for what we are learning in the workshop, or this could be something that is being extended to a larger workforce who the organization thinks that they might not be able to involve in classroom workshops, but they are happily satisfied with what they can learn out of the LMS. So it has a limited impact on people. Now, if you see, coaching is one-on-one, highly impactful. Thereafter comes the classroom workshops, and thereafter comes the online and self-paced. Now, the big question is, the audience that requires coaching and the audience that requires high performance, high impact classroom workshops, can these two be replaced? Can people be put into or be put into different spaces? Can they be replaced as a learning medium? Can somebody respond on a chat? So people who need coaching, can I put them into a classroom workshop? Or people who require a classroom workshop, can I put them into a coaching? Does it make sense? Can somebody respond on the chat if it makes sense? So let me ask the question again. There is an audience in an organization that requires coaching, which is a very one-on-one thing. And these are a few specific individuals on which the organization is willing to spend a lot of money. And there is a larger base that requires classroom workshops. Now, can I put these audiences who require a classroom workshops for coaching or vice versa? Can that be done?
Oke, mungkin ada yang bisa menjawab. Bisa nggak peserta coaching itu ikut di training, membutuhkan training atau kebalikannya? Peserta training juga hanya cocok untuk sebetulnya belum sesuai tapi lebih cocok dengan coaching misalnya atau kebalikannya, gimana? Sorry, I probably
Saya mungkin bisa jawab.
Okay, we have some participants who responds.
Yeah, I think maybe the question, I mean, in my opinion, yes, I mean, some people training is not the solution for everything. Sometimes people maybe needs coaching or mentoring, in my opinion. That's why I believe in. Remember, I don't know this theory by Luminger, saying that 70-20-10, right? 10 is like training, 20 is for coaching and mentoring, and 70 is for on the job training, right? On the job, what do you call it? On the job project. So basically, I think if we give solution, I think sometimes we see that what they really need, right? Some people actually just need coaching, and they need to find aha moments. But they find aha moments more than training. That's just my opinion. What do you think, Bose?
Right. So that's the response I was looking for. So coaching has a different space. It fulfills a different need in the organization, and training fulfills a different need in the organization. And these two are pretty much mutually exclusive, right?
Yes,
So thank you for your response.
you're welcome.
Similarly, so I can't, these are mutually exclusive. Similarly, I have the training workshops and I have large scale self-paced LMS, MOOCs, Coursera's, and these two have again a mutually exclusive need in the organization. One cannot fulfill the need of the other. So they are absolutely mutually exclusive. So right now at this point of time, there might be L&D who are temporarily trying to push in LMS, push in MOOCs, push in Coursera to fulfill the void that has been created because of work from home. But ideally they don't fulfill, or they don't even get too close to the objectives that we desire out of these two areas. So these two are mutually exclusive. uh, Adi, can you do a quick translation?
Yeah. So basically, uh, maybe we can just check with the participant. Is that are they okay? But I think basically it's quite straightforward what you just explained to the participants.
Right, right, all right, thanks, Adi. So now
But
if
I
this,
have a
yeah,
question.
yeah,
Oh,
I have a question on MOOCs and self-paced MOOCs, right? How do you say it, Bose? Well, can I call you Bose or Bose?
yeah,
Bose.
please go ahead, both, yeah,
Both, yeah, yeah, like how you mean self-driven, self-paced.
right,
What I see is different. I mean, like when I went to India or to China, people are more like self-paced or self-driven, right? But when I see it, maybe here, it's not there yet. But I think maybe we are shifting there. But how do you in your opinion, in your experience, how do you move that mindset for people to be self-paced or self-driven to take MOOCs like Coursera, Udemy, or any other online learning platform? Well, maybe can you share the experience?
right. So in here, at least in India, the organization uh, makes these resources accessible for the employees, and to an extent they might even recommend to specific set of employees based on their PMS need areas as to what are the self-learning things they should access over the period of time. So they make it easier for the employees by not letting them wander around wildly around so much of content that's available, but suggesting as to what they should be doing in the self-paced environment and making that accessible as well. So that's one thing that happens here in this country. Uh,
Thank you for sharing
right,
that. Thank you.
right. However, having said that, these two are again mutually exclusive. Now, uh, if at this point of time that the workshops are off the shelf and we can't do physical workshops, it doesn't mean physical workshops have lost their importance. What is important to understand is we have to find an alternative, because this space can't be replaced by anything else. It has to happen. The organization has an objective and we have to fulfill that. And therefore, go virtual. That's what we are doing. However, the big problem is virtual and classroom trainings are two different worlds altogether. So somebody who is an excellent trainer in a classroom environment need not be a super trainer in the virtual environment. These are absolutely two different spaces. So why are these two different? Let's look at that. And that's because of the environment. So I'm just trying to highlight some of the things that we have experienced over a period of time. So in a classroom mode, everything starts from the trainer. A trainer has done a lot of research on the needs of the participants. He has curated a lot of material, perhaps assessments, tests, a lot of small experiential games or even simulation games. But everything starts from the trainer. The participants become a part of it, and the trainer is constantly getting a lot of cues from the participant. And based on the cues, the trainer can quickly reset his trajectory in the classroom itself so that the participants get the best of the experience. The objective of the trainer is to maximize the learning for the participant. So what are the different kinds of cues? It's body language, it's what they are saying. The trainer is having the participants constantly involved. So this is an advantage in a physical classroom. However, when we are going to the virtual world, cue from the participants is minimal, and therefore we have to change the design of deployment altogether. The virtual environment needs a different method of deployment. So what is that? In a virtual environment, everything must start with the participants and end with the participants. So nothing starts with the trainer. Everything starts with the participants, ends with the participants. So the big thing is, traditional instruction design doesn't apply in this virtual ILT. It's different, absolutely different instruction design elements that are yet to be taught as mainstream practices, because this virtual environment was not forced on us. So there hasn't been enough research done in this field, nor are there enough people practicing it yet. By coincidence, we have been practicing it over the last 10 years because our objective was to help organizations reduce costs on various fronts, and therefore we have been practicing it. So there are few people who have been practicing virtual trainings for a period of time, and therefore just because of that, they have come to a certain level of expertise in this field. And digital simulation fits in perfectly well in the virtual training mode. And I would say this is the best medium in the virtual training mode. Any questions? So far, I was just building up as to how things fit in. If anybody has any questions, then I can always take it.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, your insights and also your experience in India on this virtual training mode. And also, I think responding to Mr. Roma response before, I also believe that it's just a matter of time before this approach become a trend in Indonesia, to be specific. But I think the fact that we now working at home with all these pandemics, I think it's just going to change the whole games and accelerate the process of the virtual learning and also the virtual learning in the future. So that will be very interesting and very exciting era that we're going to embrace.
Right. Thanks, Eddie. And not just India, we have been doing it globally. So across the globe, because everything is virtual, so we can do it for anything.
Absolutely.
So we have been doing it for different countries together, different time zones. So it's like we are on a different planet altogether with a different set of realities. So it was a big advantage. So now, virtual ILT workshop based on leadership, lead pro digital simulations, and that's what something that we are going to experience now, the new reality for everybody as far as workshops are concerned. So lead pro situational, today we will experience lead pro situational as to what this is as a sample. This is a simulation that is primarily for team leaders. So anybody who is a team leader gets to benefit out of this. Now, a quick genesis of where it comes from. So this is based on the concept of leadership styles. Now, leadership styles is something that started in the US American Army, and they define three characteristic traits of three different kinds of leadership styles. One is authoritarian, one is participative, and one is delegative. So that was the genesis. And over a period of time, as it became a best practice in the US Army and it was giving them the best of results, the corporate US, they decided to adapt some of these learnings, and people like Blanchard and Daniel Goleman, they come up with leadership styles. So Blanchard is one whose model is the most popular, and it comes from the fact, from according to Blanchard, today's leaders can no longer lead solely based on positional power. In the past, they could have been a boss, but today it's no longer a positional power. And therefore, the need to understand what each and every team member needs from me, and accordingly trying to give them whatever they need to complement and help them on their performance. And therefore, the concept of situational leadership. Now, in the simulation, so we are not going to talk a lot about the concept or anything, because you will experience it within the simulation. In the simulation, you have been appointed the head of the Asia Pac sales team, and you are new to the organization. In the last quarter, the APAC fell short of the target. So as the CEO has appointed you as the head, your job is to optimize the performance of the team for the remaining days in the current quarter. So this is the simulation that you will be challenged with, managing a bunch of 6 team members at your end. Now, what we need to do, what we will be doing before we start the simulation, what is expected out of the new APAC head, who are the team members, and what are the different kinds of actions possible inside the simulation. So we will spend a little time understanding this. Before we do that, can I have a quick call on how many people have not registered yet? So I'm just stopping my screen share. If you can go back to the email. So this is, if you can go back to the email and just register with the portal.
I'll also will share the credentials and also the information on the chat, so everybody can see it in there. I can just log in directly from there, I think.
Right. So I have just stopped my screen share. If you can just meanwhile register, so we are ready. So meanwhile I will just check at the back end how many people have registered. So we have 7 people who have registered so far, and everybody else needs to register.
Yeah. So I think let's give a little bit time for participants to log in into the link that I just shared in the chat room. So everybody just can copy and paste that into your browsers and try to log in and experience the Lead Pro.
Yeah, so the instructions are there in the chat box. If you can follow the instructions and quickly register and log in.
Right. Okay, and just a quick reminder, I think a lot of the participants here are quite familiar with the situational leadership concept, you know, with the Lewins and also with the Blanchard and Hersey's back in the 60s. But when you actually do this exercise, you know, try to put yourself in a neutral position, yeah. That would be better. Although I think it's also going to be quite interesting to see how the games responds on with your current knowledge and understanding of situational leadership. But it should be fun, because I think the last time I tried it last night. Last time I tested it was back in 2018, and we did this game back in 2019, and it was interesting and fascinating exercise.
Apa ini papi nggak ngerti ya?
Ada yang mengalami kesulitan? Anyone have any difficulties on getting to the simulation? Just let me know.
So now we have 11 people that have registered.
Fantastic.
Total 11, waiting for more people.
Yeah. Currently we have 48 people participating in this series.
Yeah, out of which 3 or 4 organizers. So we should have around 43, 44 registrations. So the score is at 14. 14 people have successfully registered. So if you have already registered, you can click here to complete, but you will have to wait for me to start the timer, without which you cannot start. So please wait. $16 now.
So, Bose, while waiting for the participant registering, I have a question here coming from one of the participants, asking the question that the situational leadership is actually quite, I think, how to say that this is in English. It's quite a old models. So the question basically is, the situational leadership still relevant with the current condition in business environment?
Okay, very valid question. Yes, it is. Two reasons. One is it's very simple to understand. And second is, very often and more often than not, you will see people or leaders struggling with managing their team members. And one of the primary reasons is that people are unable to understand the emotional needs of different people. So everybody, if I have different kinds of people as team members, everybody has different emotional needs. And situational leadership fits that part of understanding very well. So a very successful leader still struggling with managing his team members suddenly gets exposed to a working model of situational leadership, and that opens up something for him. And therefore, it's very relevant. So there are a lot of complicated models, yes, but the problem is, more complicated the model, more difficult it is to put something on execution. When it's simple, it's much difficult to bring it out in the execution mode.
Right.
And not to forget that it's still practiced in the US Army.
Yes.
I mean, despite they have being started it in the 30s, it's still practiced there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bose. I also have some response here in the chat room saying that they're having difficulties in accessing to their mobile phone. Just to remind you that I think the Lead Pro simulation game will be much more effective, and you will have a better user experience where if you are using a desktop computers or your laptop. So I think that your Android phone will give you a lot of limitation, which, you know, giving you a difficulties on playing the game. Yeah.
Yes. So we recommend that you use your PCs or your tabs, not mobile phones. Not because it's not mobile phone friendly, but just because the simulation screens and everything, they won't be, the visuals are much better on a larger screen.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have more people logging in already. Fantastic.
So we have 22 total now.
Right. Excellent.
So while people are registering, so I think it might take like a couple of more minutes. Addy, do we use this time, the next couple of minutes, to have somebody share any difficulty that they are facing with L&D initiatives in their organization, uh, so that we can take such questions and you can take those questions later on?
Sure. Of course. So if you having any challenges personal or your organization challenges in terms of L&D, feel free to pop the questions as well while we're waiting for the other participants to log in. Right, so I actually have a question as well, because virtual learning requires a high degree of maturity of the people. We're not talking about the infrastructure yet, because I know that also can be challenging factors and variables in the success of virtual learning. So do you think the maturity of people on self-learning is critical, and how we as HR or L&D professional actually help people to become more interested in a virtual learning approach?
All right. So just to clarify again, there are two modes of virtual learning. One mode is the self-paced and the other mode is the ILT. Now, in the self-paced, I might or might not have any control on how somebody is progressing unless there is a mechanism in place. However, in the virtual ILT mode, it becomes the facilitator's responsibility that everybody is into the process. So it's my responsibility, your responsibility. And therefore, given that a participant has a need of learning in that space and therefore he's in the classroom, the design is purely from the participant's perspective. What also happens when we use designs which are participant centric, they can create a learning journey which is very personalized. So let's say, for instance, there are 15 different participants, or let's say in our classroom here, there are 40 different participants, each one coming from a different background, different emotional needs, different challenges. Now, when they are playing a simulation, they are creating a learning path which is very unique for themselves. And the trainer is not telling them as to what is the path they should be taking up. And that becomes a very important criterion in a virtual ILT mechanism, that we give the participants the freedom in designing or in picking or in navigating through their own paths. And that creates a big traction. So the more ILT based virtual training is participant centric, more it is successful, because more it is participant centric, more will a participant get out of it on what real life problems he or she is facing. So the overlap is much higher. So the key difference is how participant centric it is. So did I answer your question, Addy?
Yep, very good. Thank you. How are we going? Are we ready to start the simulation, or are we still okay for another question? I think I have a new question coming in from one of the participants.
So we have 25. We could just take another question and
Okay.
then move on, perhaps. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the question is coming from one of the participants asking, how about in the organization that is very power-driven, that using a power-driven approach? So the leaders in the organization really, using their power or authorities in managing the company or the team, but the team feel like they would like to be seen from the performance-driven perspective. So there's a different approach that expected from the team members with the one that's being applied by the leadership. So how you as a middle management accommodate or facilitate that situation?
Okay, so I don't have a direct answer from the Indonesian perspective, but I can certainly give you what has been shared with you, what has been happening in India. So there were traditional companies which were more power centric, top down, uh, uh, somewhere in the past. What happened in the interim was, yes, Pa, just give us the last 2 minutes and then we will start, because right now I see 25 people. So if there are a couple of more people who want to register. So what we witnessed was that as the organization, the Indian companies, they wanted to go global, they realized that it's not an individual decision that the leader can make, that I go global. I decide one night that I want to go global and I declare that we are a global organization and everybody has to do that. That doesn't happen. If they want to go global, if they want to capture global clientele, it must be my people who help me go global. And therefore, the organization suddenly has to become people centric. And that's a huge turn, that's a huge change that happened for a lot of organizations in India, and it's still happening. It's still happening, and I witness a lot of organizations doing that. And now with these times where everybody is working from home, collaborative environment for my employees, the need for that could never be higher, because people are struggling against a lot of emotional barriers, and now with this environmental barrier as well. So coming back to the question, if there is a pressure from the top, and it's a top down organization, as mid managers, how can we make this happen inside the organization? I think you will have to make the right kind of pitch to the senior management as to why this is needed at this point of time. If they understand numbers, if that's the only thing they are looking at, include numbers as a long term perspective and then build in whatever you are pitching. So speak in a language they understand when you are pitching, because eventually, unless people are on the side of the higher management, unless people start actually contributing freely and holistically to what the organizational leader needs, they won't be able to go beyond a certain point. And that's the change that's happening in India right now. So I hope I answered that question. I don't have a definitive answer, but I just answered it from what I am witnessing and experiencing at this point of time.
Yeah, I think it's important for us that's based in the middle to accommodate that situation, because surely even though the management using the a power-driven approach, surely the focus will be the performance. I think they just need to be helped on accommodating that styles. Okay, thank you, Eric, for the
All right.
questions. I think we quite ready for the simulation. I think
Yes.
we have enough quota to start.
Right. So I am setting the timer now, and before we start, so though I have set the timer before we start, and you can enter the simulation, you can start doing it. Just before we start, I just want to walk you through what all you can do inside the simulation, and for that, I need you to be with me on my screen that I have shared again. So you have done this part, you have entered. So when you have logged in, the first screen that you will see is a welcome message from the CEO. You have been appointed to head the APAC sales team. They were underperforming. This is about the company, an air conditioning company, which is a global leader, and they have people. So they're one of very important assets of for this company is their people, which is like a super sales force. Also saying that the team members that you have are super in their spaces. So if they are not performing, it might be the leader's responsibility. So that's a challenge for you as the leader to guide the team. Next, you will see a screen which walks you through who the team members are. So you can keep rolling through the team members, trying to understand who these people are. Each one of them is qualified on a level of skill and motivation. So please notice the small description that they have and their level of skill and motivation. So as you scroll through them, you will reach this screen, which is the 4 kinds of leadership styles that you can follow inside the simulation. And I will display this on my screen as well for your reference. So one is instructing, where you are hand-holding a specific person at every step. You are instructing that person, dictating that person. Second is consulting, which is a two-way conversation happening as in a coaching mode, where you are having deep conversations, trying to understand and then help that person wherever he or she needs your help. Participating, the third style is you are just helping that person as a last mile support. The person is pretty much self-sufficient, but he or she still needs the last mile support, and therefore you are extending that. And the last style is empowering, where a team member is fully has full expertise on what he or she is doing. So you leave the team member run things his or her way. You just keep checking once in a while if everything is okay. So these are the four styles inside the simulation. uh, Next, when you go ahead, you will see a screen like this. There will be a tutorial. You can go through the tutorial, and I will quickly walk you through as well. So essentially, we need to understand that there are three kinds of styles, three kinds of actions inside the simulation. So Addy, after I am able to explain the three different kinds of actions, I will request you to explain it in the local language as well for everybody's convenience. So the three different kinds of actions are the weekly action. The first is weekly action, which is from the planned style drop down menu. Here, after you have made a judgment as to what kind of a person each one is, their emotional needs are, you will try to categorize them as whether this person needs a participating style, an instructing style, a consulting style, a participating style, or an empowering style. And at the beginning of the week, on the drop down menu, you will you will be committing a specific style against each team member. So this is like a verbal commitment you have with this member, that this is the style you will be committing on. Now, what is the objective of the of the simulation? The objective is the sales target achieved, which is the ticker that you see here on the top. And this is towards the right, you see a ticker on the progress of days. So you have 6 weeks in all, and each week has 5 working days. And to move the overall sales target, you need to move each person on. Can I request people to be on mute, please?
Already muted.
Thank you. How can I move the overall sales target? Each person has an individual sales target achieved. When I am able to move each individual on their targets, the overall sales target moves. And how do I move these people individually on their sales targets? So there are three categories of actions. The first is something that I already shared, which is the drop down menu, a weekly action that is taken on every Monday. The second category of action is the team actions, which is on the left. Four different kinds of team actions: team email, team meeting, team lunch, and offsite. So quickly looking at an example, if I click on team email, I will see 3 agendas for team email. And I also see time required is 1 day. I can select any radio button and then implement the action. And then that action goes in. So this is the second category of action, the team actions. And the third category of action is when I click on an individual profile. Let's say I click on Paul, I enter his individual profile. I see a lot of description around him. First is the action versus impact table. This is the history of actions taken with this person. And then I have a description, and then his personal skill and motivation level. And I also see the planned style with this person, which is the weekly style. Towards the left, I see individual action list. So there are the individual action list comprises of an individual email, call for a meet, send for training, take charge of an account, recognize this person, fire this person, and do a pep talk with this person. Now, let's click on email. So I clicked on email and I see 4 different agendas for email. A similar thing, it consumes 1 day. I click on a radio button and implement action, and the action implements. After each action that I implement, there will be a feedback either from the system or from the individual or from the team. And this feedback will show up like this on your screen, which is, let's say there is a feedback from Paul. So this is the kind of feedback you will keep receiving from people. Now, Your objective is, again, going back to the objective, to maximize the sales target. You have 6 weeks. There are 3 kinds of actions. First is the weekly action, which is the planned style drop down, which is a commitment with each team member on every Monday. Second is the team actions towards the left. The third is the individual actions, which is visible on an individual profile after I click on an individual profile. There will be a lot of feedbacks coming in, and based on the feedbacks, I need to, if it's a positive feedback, then it's a positive confirmation. If it's a negative feedback, then I need to course correct. My eventual objective is to help every individual on their targets. Now, after each action, apart from the feedback, I will also see movement in my skill and motivation. So this is something that you will see when you are actually playing out. So my movement in skill and motivation for each person, it might go up, it might go down. So if my motivation is going down, it means that that person needs my attention. So you need to go to that person and give your attention in whichever way possible. So in the third week, you will also get an additional task. Uh, Please read the screen instructions carefully, and it will guide you on how to work around the additional task. Also, down the lane, there will be new leads that will be coming in, and you can give the new leads to specific people. When you have to give a new lead, all you need to do is go inside a specific profile, and in the individual action list, you will see another command button that says give new lead to this person, so you can follow that process. So this is the initial set of instructions for doing the simulation. Addy, do you think you need to translate anything before they start?
No, I think it's quite clear. Maybe just to help emphasizing on the key points in Bahasa Indonesia, probably. Is that okay? Just quickly.
Yeah, please.
Ya, oke. So basically teman-teman, tugas teman-teman adalah untuk mencapai sales target dalam periode waktu 6 minggu yang dilakukan, ya, yang tersedia dengan mengarahkan anggota timnya. Ada 6 anggota tim di situ. Dengan action yang berbeda-beda. Jadi Anda bisa melakukan team action atau individual action tergantung dari kebutuhan yang mereka butuhkan. Ya, caranya cukup dengan memilih gaya apa yang Anda akan gunakan, ya, participating, kemudian delegating, dan lain-lain tadi yang sudah disampaikan, dan yang juga tersedia. Kemudian setelah itu memilih action list apa. Ya, sukses Anda ditentukan oleh seberapa cepat dan seberapa tepat Anda memilih gaya kepemimpinan kepada anggota tim yang sesuai berdasarkan situasi, kondisi, dan tantangan yang disimulasikan oleh permainan ini. Ya.
All right. Thanks a lot, Addy. And please remember that the currency inside the game is days. So every action consumes days, and that's how the simulation moves forward. So we are ready to start. So right now you have 50 minutes left. So you have 50 minutes to start and finish the simulation. I will also be displaying on my admin screen as to how people are progressing. I have, let's see how many people have registered. Right now I have 30 people who have registered. So I will keep sharing with you the progress of the people. I will also display the grid of the leadership styles for your reference. So meanwhile, you can start. In the next 10 seconds, I will display the grid of the leadership style as well.
Oke, so selamat memainkan permainannya. Do we have any present that we're going to give away for the winner of this game, Bose?
So yes, we can decide on that. What could that be? Any suggestions?
I think Biziga already provided a brand new iPad Pro and iPhone Max 11, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Wow! Yeah.
It will be sent away. Will be sent to participants in the form of brochures. No, I'm just joking. So just get the experience, guys. I think it's a very interesting simulation to help you understand the concept, principles, and I think the most important is to test out your approach in a very safe environment. And because obviously, if you tested your situational leadership skill on the real life environment, it's going to be quite risky, right? Because people will respond differently. But I think in the simulation, it gives you enough experience, yeah, on how people usually respond on that specific styles in a different environment and different characteristic of the people.
So Addy, can you see my the four grids on your screen?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
So this is for your reference. People who want to take a screenshot and save it as a reference, then you can do that. I will be displaying it for the next 2 minutes, and thereafter I will be going to my admin screen to share with you how people are progressing. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can keep shooting them on the chat box.
Yeah. Okay, just also to clarify, we can see from the individual team members about their two elements, the motivation and skills. I think if I remember correctly, is that also related with this four quadrant model, both?
Sorry, come again, Ari. Didn't get you.
So if I look to the game screen, on each individuals there are two elements of the two elements that we're looking at, the skill and the motivation.
Right.
So is that also related with this model? Is that something that we need to look at as well?
Okay. So quickly telling you. So towards, let me make the axis as well for you. So yes, towards the left, the axis is skill, and towards the bottom, the axis is motivation. Does that help?
Yep.
Okay, I will just draw it. So do keep your eye on the timer at the same time. Uh, Please spread it out. You need not rush. You can just optimize how well paced you are inside the simulation. You don't want to rush too fast. You don't want to be too slow.
Yeah. So while we waiting for the guys to complete the exercise, I can see from the response and there's a lot of accommodate what do you call it, accommodate praise given by a lot of organizations that already using this lead pro simulation. So how generally people perceive this simulation game into this into their learning experience post?
Okay, so so the question is, let me repeat. In organizations that are using these simulations, how do they? Uh, how is it being used at this point of time? Right? Is that the
Yeah,
question?
and how they generally general impression about this game. Just just be curious.
Okay. So this is a widely used simulation, and uh, there are a couple of things here. First is, although the Blanchards, they do their own workshops for educating the people on the importance of leadership styles, and they are pretty popular in India, and they must be in Indonesia as well. However, what usually happens is it finishes as a workshop. Uh, the big question is, I have learned about leadership styles, and perhaps I can also see what my gap areas are. A big question is, what do I need to do to go back and implement? Or how do I translate it into actual, the real me, working with my actual team members and help them raise their performance?
Mm.
So that was the gap area so far. Before this, our specific simulation came out as a learning medium for people on this area. And so we were able to fulfill that gap. First is creating, generating a report at the end of the simulation, which is instantaneous. So everybody who is playing today, there will be a report which will be capturing their leadership style. And second is a tool that can help them do the implementation, and that's something very valuable for the organizations, because now it's not a workshop in isolation where uh, the learning for people is as much as they want to learn, and they leave it to the people who are the participants to go back and implement. So we are, the entire design goes a step further in helping them implement in their day-to-day lives, and that's what most of the organizations are doing at this point of time, whoever is using this simulation. And that's a big USP as well for us. So most of our simulations have this built-in mechanism where there are realistic reports, kind of profile reports which come out, and tools that can help them implement back at their workplace.
Fantastic. So basically, this simulation also will help you identifying what will be your predominant leadership styles. Is that also will be generated from this simulation?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the it's going to be a good combination of your self-assessment and also the gamification, which result into your report. Fantastic. Very good.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there was an earlier question, and to connect with your question, an earlier question was, uh, is leadership style still relevant? That was a question.
Correct.
And just to connect it back with what you asked, it's amazing that most people have a dominant leadership style. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even the best of the leaders have a dominant leadership style. Uh, the world that we are, which is wishful thinking, where we want to move, is a place where people don't have a dominant leadership style, which means an ideal world scenario where I am trying to take cognizance of all my team members, their needs, and then accordingly giving them what they need. So I am being highly adaptive, and that's what where the world is moving towards. But in our daily lives, which is full of short-term targets, pressure, stress, we fall back on our dominant leadership style and display that amply in real life workplace. Uh, and therefore, the relevance of leadership styles, Blanchard's model, till this date, and perhaps for a long time to come in future as well. The ideal thing will be if nobody has any leadership styles, dominant leadership style at all. Everybody is well spread. But that is something that doesn't usually happen.
Okay.
And therefore, when we get a reflection on, when we come face to face, that this is a dominant leadership style I have been displaying at my workplace, and what are the benefits and what are the downsides, and
Yeah.
that becomes a starting point towards a journey of not having a dominant leadership style at all,
Yeah.
which is like an ideal place to be in.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also interesting that you refer to the Blanchard models previously, and I can see also the model that you shown in the screen. For me, it's quite similar with the SL model by Blanchard or NRC as well. So is that something that is something that practically is conceptually is it the same, or it is actually have some differences with the model that you shown on the screen?
So the models that are used in all our simulations are the well researched and practiced models. Uh, then we build on the models further to create a simulation. But the basic models are the well practiced and accepted models. So even in this simulation, this being a well practiced model, this is the foundation of the simulation. However, there are many more things that we have built over and beyond the model inside the simulation, but the basic framework stays the same.
Okay. So
Yeah,
basically, if my company, for example, we've done a SL1 or SL2 training and being implemented by the organization. So this Lead Pro is actually not going to introduce the completely new models.
yeah. So
So
this is just a juxtaposition of the existing situational leadership model.
correct. So it's completing. It's a completing element. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a complement.
Fantastic. Very good. So how is going with the progress screen? I think you said you're going to share the admin screen as well.
Yes.
I would be
Let me
interesting
do
to see
that.
how people are progressing as well.
I hope people have taken a screenshot so I can remove that screen and show the screen. So let's see how people are doing here. We have 29, 30, 32 registrations, and we have somebody who is on day 36, day 30. So people are like, some people, so there are some people who registered, but they haven't started playing or they are not here in the classroom. Somebody has already completed as well, Soraya.
Okay, I'm interested to see also some of the sales achievements. So I can see people getting 99, 59. I think that's 59,
Oh, pretty high, very high.
$59
Yeah.
million. Yeah.
Yeah, 59 million, that's very high. So it must be over 93, 94%.
Wow, excellent, fantastic. And it was and it's who was that? 50
It's Soraya.
Soraya, and she
Yeah.
is from she's from HR. So she might considering her role as a sales director or the sales manager as well.
Right. And you know what the ironical thing is, and this is a heavy irony that I have been experiencing ever since I have been in L&D. Uh, People in HR and people in L&D are very people oriented people, you know. So when somebody like Soraya, who is very well seasoned with how to handle people, uh, she is much more people centric than the leaders in the organization. Uh, so somebody like her, somebody in HR is very well poised to take everybody together. And the sad irony is that people who are actually leading the organization uh, don't uh, give too much of credit to HR or L&D, who are the ones who are, keeping the organization together, trying to understand different needs, being promoting diversity. And so that's the irony at this point of time. If we can build that component of HR in our existing leaders in the organization, that's a great achievement for an organization. And increasingly now we are seeing leaders getting sensitive to the people part as well.
Yeah.
So I hope that goes well.
Yeah. I think it would be great as well if Bu Soraya can share her tips on how she actually can get a very high result on this simulation. I think that would be interesting as well to hear from her. Is that okay for you, Bu Aya, to share some of your tricks or maybe your tips on playing this game?
Okay. Thank you so much. Uh, I don't believe that I can get the high achievement for the point of this simulation, because I just see the situation is basic from the skill and motivation score, and what I choose to play based from my experiences, because I working in organization who uh, focus on distribution and logistics. So I meet a lot with salespeople. So I just use my instinct, right? because maybe I have a 7 years experience in sales, so I know how to manage them. And yeah, I think that skill and motivation is very what can I say? Uh, it can predictable. It can be predictable to use if you see people who demotivated with their achievements. So we can use we can meet with her or with him and getting a chit chat and doing some interpersonal skills, my interpersonal skills. Yeah, maybe just to share with how they meet the uh, what can I say, how their situation. So yeah, I just trying to put myself in her shoes.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
fantastic.
my value to manage people.
Excellent. I have to say that I probably will say I slightly disagree with what you said about the instinct part, because the fact
No.
you said that earlier you have 7 years experiencing on interacting with your salespeople. I think that's what built up your so-called the instinct. I think that instinct is built up from that 7 years experience. So well done.
Yes, that's right. That's what I think.
And thank you, Buaya, for sharing your insights. I can see also another lady actually getting a very good score at $58 million of sales. I think it's from Ibu Ratri. She's a client relationship manager. Ibu Ratri, would you kindly share your insight and your experience on getting $58 million of sales?
Oh, hello. Good
Hi.
morning, all.
Hi, good morning.
Well, yeah, I thought it becomes from my experience as a
Right.
sales before. I have like 8 years sales experience, and then now I am a client relationship manager, not far from sales, like after sales. So before 8 years is back of the sales from the scratch, like cold call and then until dealing, and now I'm in relationship service,
Yep.
maintaining clients. So maybe that is why I kindly know how to handle the my team member. Like my focus is on their motivation,
Right.
and of course their skill, because I had an experience having a staff that having a low skills, and then the low skills but great motivation. But the others, I also have low skill and low motivation. And yeah, it's kindly the lead pro situation is kindly represent the reality in the job. So when I have a employee like having a great motivation and then great skills, yeah, I will let him walk by what he thought is right. I just will stand by his or her side to see what he's doing, and then to heard what they're reporting to me, and then give some insight if they're needed. But as long as they don't need it and I see they're still in the right track, yeah, I will let them walk alone without me. So I'm not kind of micromanaging
Type of leaders.
kind of leadership.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I think that is why I achieved maybe 85
Fantastic.
55 I mean.
Fantastic. Very good. Thank you, Mbak Ratri, for sharing. I
Yeah,
also
thank you,
still,
Mas Adi.
yes, I still keen to see, is there any guy who actually made it some good sales? I think I saw the name, Frederick, I think. Frederick?
So there is this person who has written his name as full name.
Yeah. Oh,
And
full name.
yeah, his or her name is full name.
Yeah.
So I
So
won't
Mr.
do that.
Mr. or Mrs. Full name, if we may get any tips, from you, we will be very happy to hear on how you actually getting the result that was expected.
Okay, Addy, before you go there,
Sorry.
can we finish the simulation in the next 10 minutes? So can I
Sure.
force 10 minutes?
Sure.
In the interest of time, so that we are on time. So it's 10 minutes left for everybody to finish, and instead of 25 minutes, and the clock is clicking. Yeah, Addy, so let's go on to our Mr. or Miss full name.
Yeah. Mr. Full name or Miss Full name, whoever you are. It's a top secret. Oh my God. And he said he don't want to share the secret. Holy moly. Well, sharing is learning, Pak or Bu. I think it would be nice, just to share some of your insights because, Anyway, but if you feel uncomfortable, that's fine as well. We don't want to be pushy and all. But it's a really nice response.
And that's the precise reason why he or she wrote full name, so that even by mistake, we don't get to know who that person is.
Oh, so just want to give some hints. It's not just the team managing. Just success improve the sales by reaching individual management also. Oh, okay. So his tips basically try to use a more individual approach to really understand the team members, understand the needs and then adjusting the approach. So that's interesting. So not focusing on the numbers, but focusing on the people who work on those numbers. Because I think
ya, kita mungkin sekitar kurang lebih 5 menit lagi, Pak Herdian sama Pak Sarijan ya. Siapa tahu.
Okay. So yeah, it's interesting because I think full name believe that if the people who work on it, will do their best, it will automatically drive the performance. Excellent. Very good. I think it's a good tips. Thank you, Pak. Thank you, Pak or Ibu.
And what I'm reminded of is that let's say in the there are generals who will do great job and not take credit for it, right? And that's an example we see here. So
Correct.
I am the general or the captain. You don't need to know anything more about me. And if I did good job, then thank everybody else other than me.
Okay, fantastic. Oh,
Yeah.
sadly, I just found that the menu on the 5th weeks, or else he will reach 100 million. I like the guy. I like this guy's sense of humor. I like it. It gets me even more interested to know him better or her.
Already.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So
So do we have any other that would like to share? I think I saw the name of Frederick. Maybe can you help scroll down on any? I don't want to be a gender things. I just would like to hear something from the guy as well. I can see all the ladies. I can see all the ladies quite dominating here.
Yeah.
I want to share about my experience. Can I?
Yes, of course. And who we are speaking with?
With Malik.
Oh, Mr. Malik. Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Malik, please.
Yeah. So in my experience, so I have just started my work, just maybe for just 2 months. These 2 months, and
Right.
I'm studying from the less information about the place I work, but they are in the IT industry. Okay, so I try to know everybody and then what kind of the business process inside the company, and I try to learn by what goes from the distance, because most of us is very busy with our project. They have like some of project outside the Jakarta, and then just within couple of months, just maybe 1 month before when I started working, we already have like 4 or 5 projects in a row. Okay, so I think try to manage everything with the distance. It's very important within in the nowadays, because we don't know that maybe we can get the project very far from our cities, from our company base. So that's why we already start with a distance learning or distance communication. So that's my my experience.
Wow, fantastic. So you're basically managing a almost like a virtual team, yeah? Because you are separated, so less physical interaction already.
It's not a virtual actually, but because the what called the because our project is one in Aceh, another one in Bali, another one in Papua, and then we try to make communication like every week, and then we have to share the advance of our project, and then within that 1 week we have to make another concept of marketing, or another concept of the technical side of our technology. So within 1 week we have like sharing in every part of our company. So not because we are doing virtual now. We sometimes we meet like once a month in the head office. Yeah, so we have like a routine meeting like once a month.
Right. And how, just curiosity from you, and how you identify your team members' needs in terms of their skill and their motivation, if you have relatively limited time to interact with them, have a physical interaction with them. So how do you know that, okay, this guy's, he's losing motivation, but his skill level is still quite high, How do you know that?
So it's simple. We can using every platform of the social media, like WhatsApp or maybe Facebook. So in my case, I'm just using WhatsApp, okay? So when we know that project is start, and somebody have setting up the timeline, and then we just communicate about the timeline. Everybody, that person in charge in that timeline, I just try to ask them. So how far you have how far is the progress? Do you have any obstacles or something like that? So, and then if you have any problem, can I help you? Just making a simple communication like that, and it makes them like, okay, they and then they start working, and then the result is everything is done by its time. Yeah.
Brilliant, excellent. I think it's a very good tips to maintain the communication and also your approaches as a leader. Fantastic, thank you, Pak Malik. Excellent.
And also one important is that people who have already been working remotely, they are the people who might not have been affected as much with this work from home thing, because people who go to office every day still how to do remote communication, how to make that seamless. But for people who have already been working remotely, the hit is far lesser emotionally in comparison, and therefore people like Malik coming to terms quickly and working towards performance is far easier than for other category of people who are regular office goers.
Excellent, great. And how are we going with the game, with the simulation? Are we?
So we are at the last minute.
Okay.
Here, if Frederick quickly wants to share in the last 30 seconds?
Yeah, Mr. Raymond. Raymond, you got 52.
Hello, hello. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear
okay.
you well.
Okay. Okay. Firstly, good morning or good afternoon. uh, in my previous experience, I never handled things because I'm came from the background IT, which is engineering manager, and right now I have just have subordinate for programmers and software developers, and what I apply in this simulation, I just apply from my experience in IT. And yeah, it's quite different because sales and production is really different approach. Meanwhile, in sales things, we should more people oriented, and also how to manage the relationship to them. And first, I create the action I plan for the early phase is to the boundary team bonding, sorry, team bonding. And also the in order they know each other, and they know how they work, how also how my style to them. And also then the 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 next phase, I just doing the individual development in both of them. Meanwhile, I just need to increase their motivation, because I believe that if the motivation is good, then the skill is easy to adjust. That's all, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
So very
Mm.
interesting for a person who work in technology programming, where I think a lot of people is really focusing on the on the tasks, not very people oriented. But I think even though this is this game is based on the sales environment, I think it's just a matter of converting the measurement metrics. I think from your environment is more of a deadline completion. The quality and the success of the project completion will be the key factors of the success. But the process on leading the team member should remain the same. But yeah, thank you very much, Mas Eric, for sharing your insights and some of your tips. Fantastic.
All right. Thank you so much. And yes, like Ari said, whether it's an IT environment, whether it's a project, whether it's something else, uh, everybody still is a human being, and everybody has those human emotional needs from me as a team leader. So whatever task I am at needs that complementary team leadership from my team leader. And the objective of the simulation is to create that sensitivity. Uh, so now we are done. Now, if I need to display one of the reports, and I hope people have been able to download their reports. Can we have some yeses from the audience? If you have been able to download your report, has anybody been able to download your report?
Yeah, we have some response. Is Eric already able to download the report?
Okay, awesome. Uh, okay, so if you have not been able to still, I will request you to click on the bottom. There is a button that says download report. You need to punch in 30 characters as a feedback about your experience, and then your report will download. Now, meanwhile, I need to display a sample report on my screen here. And we spoke first with Soraya. Soraya, do I have your permission to use your report for reference with others?
Okay, I don't mind.
You don't mind, right? Can I share your report with others?
Share report. Wait.
Okay, no, I will share that. I can download it, but if you are okay.
Still downloading first.
Okay, so no, it's a no.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay. I'm okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So I'm downloading your report and using it as a reference to share it with others. So while it's downloading at my end, I request others to open up your reports at your end so that while I am explaining how to interpret the report, I will do a quick interpretation, though an actual interpretation takes around 35-40 minutes, but we will do a quick interpretation here, and you can interpret your own reports.
Yeah. So
So
basically, the report itself is quite self-explanatory. So it will be useful for you to see the report and to know your leadership styles based on the simulation.
right. So here I have a report on my screen. The initial few pages talks about the background and the theoretical concept building part. So this is what we had, the 4 styles on the skill and leadership. Now, this is where we are. This talks about my leadership style. So I'm not going into too much of detail. However, what we see here is the 4 different styles and how much I have used each one of them. So ideally, I want to be close to the green heat zones. My black line is the total usage of a specific leadership style. And my green line is the appropriate usage, or my usage when it was impactful. So in this report, though I have used empowering style 54% of times, it has been impactful only around 18% of times. And therefore, this part is overusage, or this part didn't give me adequate results of what I expected from the empowering style. Similarly, the larger the gap for each style, larger, it's kind of a wasted opportunity for me. Uh, for consulting and instructing, I have the green line at 0, which means the green and the black are overlapping. So I did not use the consulting and instructing styles at all in the simulation. Only green is visible. It means the green and black are overlapping. So I'm not going into further detail here. I'm just doing a quick analysis. And in this, it says I prefer to use empowering style, and it captures underutilized style, overutilized style, and it goes on to explain as to what is the impact of underusing a specific style, how should I enhance the usage, and what is the impact of overusing specific style, how to reduce or improve on the usage. So you can read it at your convenience. I quickly want to bring your attention to something else. So these are some of the competencies that have been captured from the simulation. Again, you can read it later on. Had it been a full-fledged workshop, then me or Addy would have spent a lot more time in explaining this. Uh, so I am quickly moving on, and this is about each team member. So you can just try to interpret it at your end. We are not spending time here. We are quickly going to the tool part. Now that we know this person has a preference for using empowering style, so this person will usually want to empower or give a lot of freedom to his members, letting them do things. So this person trusts his people, his or her people a lot, and therefore this person trusts that my people can find a way out. So therefore the empowering style. Now, there are positive things about using the empowering style a lot, and there are negatives as well. Like I said, the ideal thing somebody or any leader can be at is not having a preferred style at all. But that's not an easy space to be at. It takes a lot of working on oneself to get there, and years of practice. So how do I get there? Now, if I have a preferred style of leadership, then let's look at, if this person wasn't using consulting and instructing style, just imagine real life team members in this with this person using this style. And if I am using empowering style with them, then what will be the impact on their performance? Because when I'm using empowering on somebody who actually needs instructing or consulting, that person might feel very good about it, that look at my boss, he or she is trusting me so well, and I am doing my job so well. But is that thing helping that person in his or her performance? No. So that person might be stuck a lot with the performance. So what we do with the tool here is, in the tool here, we have a participant identify a specific team member where he or she is facing performance issues. Uh, uh, can we have this? We are looking at Soraya's report. Soraya, can you come live for a second? I have a question to ask. So my question is, amongst your team members, and Adi, please translate if needed. Amongst all your team members, do you have at least one team member for whom you feel there could be his or her performance can be much better than what it is right now?
Pardon, can you maybe Pak Edi can translate for me, please, so that I can understand what the point of the questions.
Okay,
So
can
Adi again? Yeah.
can you just quickly repeat the questions, boss, because I was responding to one of the participants on the chat. Sorry.
Okay, so the question is, does Soraya have at least one team member who Soraya feels can have a much better performance being at this point of time?
Oke, so saat ini Bu Soraya ada nggak di timnya Bu Soraya, anggota timnya gitu ya, anak buahnya yang lagi membutuhkan perhatian ekstra nih dari Bu Soraya?
Oh, in the real time, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, I just have one subordinate in this organization, and for 5 years I usual to be as an individual contributor. So I don't have directly subordinate, but because I'm a human resource, so basically I meet with all people and try to help supervisor how to manage their subordinates. And in my organizations, I have one subordinate, and I think that I use style of empowering, and maybe in several times I'm using consulting, because I believe that he showed to me his performance better because he has skills that I don't have it, so I trust him, and I believe that he can show the performance better than me. But in several times maybe he just not match with my direction. I try to use my consulting style to him just to make sure that he can show their a good performance. That's it. Yeah, can you, or I just need bahasa to translate?
Oh, I think that's clear enough.
I could get it. So another question to follow up is, the team leaders that you interact with in the organization, in the real organization, do you think they have people in their teams that they feel can have a much better performance?
Yeah, of course. Because in this organization have a lot of supervisor. We manage among 600 supervisors and work with different people. We distribute products to all region in Indonesia, so we have different cultures every region in every area, and meet with different culture in every culture. So how to manage them is using like differently style. Can you understand what I mean?
Right.
Adi understand what I mean? Or maybe I use bahasa. Okay. Okay, so I'm working in bahasa aja ya. Jadi karena saya bekerja di Organization and Talent Development, so saya di sini bertugas untuk memastikan bahwa one of my responsibility is reviewing the performance of individual. So we try to improve our system, and we just creating a performance review system using using cloud system and using HRIS, and also because we believe that we must to gini, jadi kita harus melihat setiap individu itu performance-nya seperti apa dari waktu ke waktu. Sehingga saya yakin banget di organisasi ini memang membutuhkan yang namanya performance review secara berkala, dan itu selama ini belum termanage dengan baik. Seperti itu. Jadi ya karena dasar itulah saya melihat bahwa ini sangat penting.
Oke, dan kembali ke pertanyaannya Pak Bose tadi, kalau menurut Bu Aya, di perusahaannya Bu Aya sekarang, ada nggak ya teman-teman Bu Aya yang leader-leader ya, departemen head, supervisor, siapapun yang punya anak buah, itu mereka struggle gitu dalam menggunakan gaya kepemimpinan mereka ke anak buahnya?
Oh iya, yeah. That's why I follow this training, because I need to have such as inspirations to share to leaders, because banyak yang bilang dan banyak yang minta untuk request leadership training, but they don't know how the leadership styles they need to manage their people. So I ever heard about situational leadership, so I believe this is a style that needs to share with the leaders in here.
So, both just to help you with what Bu Aya said. So basically, yes, she had some leaders in her organization that need some help in applying the leadership principles and style to their team members. And that's why she would like to get more insights and understanding, and also introduce this to the leaders in her organization. And also the fact that her roles in the L&D environments to have a individual performance appraisal, review, and her part of responsibility is actually to provide those feedback to the leaders, so they can apply the most effective and relevant leadership approach to their team members.
Right.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Soraya. So here we have a series of tools. So this page and the next page, and we have them on an Excel when we do it in the actual workshop virtually, where we initiate a team leader and create a map for them, help them create a map for them on how to handle people where they are having performance issues. So we create a roadmap, we help them create falls on helping every individual in the team who has a scope of improvement in performance to help them eventually and set on that path where everybody will have an optimal performance. So thereafter, the leaders start working on it with this actionable map that they can create, that they create for themselves with this tool. They are on a path where they help every individual on their performances. So it complements with what you are doing in helping everybody raise their performance, because now the team leader is also actively helping every team member raise their performance. So this is a map that we create with them towards the end of the workshop, and something which Adi will be doing when he is holding a real workshop with people. Fantastic. So I'm not going into a lot of detail here, but I'm just sharing the significance of what the tool means in creating something actionable for the team leader.
Yeah. Okay. Just to emphasize, so basically, when you play the simulation, the simulation will generate this 12 pages of report of the leadership style identification, as well as the action plan. You know what you need to do, next to enhance your leadership capabilities in the actual life. So this is a very very comprehensive report. I have to say, is this also come with a Bahasa language as well? Just curious.
No, so you will have to do that.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Bose. It's really interesting and fascinating. I've got a very good response and feedback from the participants. However, I think due to time constraint, we are now at 11:50. So I think we need to summarize and close the session. And if there's any question that any participants would like to respond, I think this is the time before we actually close the masterclass series.
Right. So it's time for the question and specific questions with Addy on how typically it's deployed with organizations. So Addy has all the answers and he can help you with that.
Yes. So, I mean, if you feel, if you don't have any question at the moment, but after you think about it and you have your internal discussion with your team or with other colleagues here, and you come up with any question, just feel free to pop the question. Just send it an email to us. I think on the invitation email you can also refer that question to that email address as well. Feel free just to drop us a question on our LinkedIn account or on link mail. We will be very happy to respond and answer some of your questions. All right. Right. Any final word that you would like to share, Mr. Bose?
So we have covered most of it, and the most important question always is that whatever the initiative is, whether it's virtual or however, how is it impacting or what is the organization getting out of this? So I think we have been able to capture what the organization, what the team leaders will get out of it. So any intervention that Addy does using the virtual mediums and the simulations is not about those workshops, but about what is the organization getting out of it in the virtual medium and after the workshop is done. So that's an important question that we are considering while designing any workshops. So not only is Addy integrating the problem areas that the organization has in the workshop, but there is a very strict action plan for all the participants, and that's very personal. It's not like Addy has them in a workshop. You might have people write down their action plans, or there are 5 action plans that they zero in on. But right now Addy is helping create a personalized thing based on the simulation, based on the report, based on the real life difficulties that the team leader is facing, so which becomes a very personalized thing for any team leader. So I think we communicated. Another last thing is that this is one of the simulations that we have, and Addy will share more with you later. So we have one on influencing, so which is influencing people laterally, vertically, influencing stakeholders. And another important virtual digital simulation we have is on strategic acumen, which is again a very popular simulation that we have and played globally a lot. So, and these 3 are actually, since we have been practicing them in the virtual medium for the last n number of years, they are fully aligned with the virtual environment, whether it's a focus group or whether it's across the organization as a large scale competition. So everything is fully aligned and in place. So that's it from me, Ari.
Great. Thank you, Bose. If you would like to know more about the Lead Pro simulation game and other simulation game available, just like Bose mentioned, the influencing skill, the change management simulation game, just feel free to visit leadprosim.com, the biziga.in, I think if I remember correctly, and also breakthrough, the www.breakthrough.com, where you can find some information and contact our team if you would like to get more information about this simulation. We'll be more than happy to support you on that matter. So I think that will wrap up our today's session. This recording video will be available also on YouTube. We will upload this recording on YouTube. So if you have, if you're interested to refresh and to revisit, it will be accessible there. And then don't forget about with our upcoming masterclass series. Next week, we're going to have a speaker from Australia speaking about the lean and business improvement. Yeah, and don't forget to join our HR online tournament the week after, the next week after. It will be fun. We're going to meet again and we play games and, you know, and testing your leadership and business skills. Fantastic. So once again, thank you very much both for your time and your very patience accommodating our answers and questions and challenges, and kind enough to actually share your expertise and experience in virtual learning and also in situational leadership. We really appreciate it. So I think everyone, I think Mr. Bose also deserves a big round of applause virtually. So
For
thank
everybody.
you. Thank you for your support. And thank you also for everyone that that's still participating until the last minutes. I hope you learn from this session. And the most important is also for you to share this learning to your friends, colleagues, and team members and apply this principle. I think it will be useful not only for you as an individual, but also as an organization. Okay? So thanks once again, guys. Have a great weekend. I know it's going to be a holiday tomorrow. Well, almost holiday every day now in Indonesia, but it's going to be even longer weekend. So have a good weekend, everyone. Stay safe, and please take care of yourself and take care of your family. And I'll see you again in the next upcoming masterclass series. So Adi Pratomo, Breakthrough Indonesia, and Mr. Subham Basu from Biziga Inc. saying goodbye. Thank you, and thank you again once again. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. I also shared my podcast link with you on Apple, and if you have time, if you want to feel inspired, you can always access that in your free time. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Makasih.
Thank you.
Guys, terima kasih. I hope you enjoy
Yeah,
it.
thank you, Mas Adi, for organizing this thing.
The pleasure
Thank you,
is
yeah.
mine,
It
Pak.
was very useful.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Have
Bye.
a nice day too.